Long before modern democracy, control wasn't taken, it was designed. Every dictator, every empire, followed a formula: fear, chaos, order. The people beg for protection and the powerful grant it with chains attached. This is not the story of men in uniforms. It's the story of a pattern, one that survived through kings, presidents, and algorithms. A hidden blueprint that keeps rebuilding itself every time we think we've destroyed it. Because power doesn't vanish. It just changes costume. It always begins the same way: a crisis. Something that shakes the people to their core. An invasion, an economic collapse, a plague, a scandal. Anything that makes them desperate enough to need a savior. In the ruins of chaos, someone steps forward, promising safety, unity, and restoration. But power never comes as a rescue. Comes as a deal. And that deal always sounds the same. Give me your freedom, and I'll give you peace. That's how republics fall and dictatorships rise. Not through force, but through consent. Dictators don't appear. They're invited. The people build them a stage, hand them the microphone, and applaud as the chains are forged. History remembers Hitler as a tyrant, but he began as a reformer. Mussolini as a strong leader. Franco a savior of tradition. Each one promised to fix what democracy broke. They never take power by stealing it. They earn it through fear and charisma. The trick is simple. Find an enemy, magnify it, and then declare yourself the only solution. Every tyrant needs a story. Every dictatorship begins with a promise. Fear is the dictator's oldest weapon. It unites the crowd while dividing their thoughts. The blueprint has always used fear to reshape loyalty. When people are terrified, they'll believe anything. They'll turn on neighbors, friends, even family, as long as they feel safe doing it. In the past, fear spread through speeches and radio. Today, it travels through timelines. One headline, one manipulated clip, one deepfake, and the crowd reacts. Panic first, logic later. That's how modern fear works. You don't need a firing squad when people already police themselves. To rule the mind, you must rule information. Dictators understand that censorship isn't about hiding facts. It's about flooding them. The truth gets drowned, not deleted. Stalin erased faces from photographs. Now we erase posts from feeds. The methods evolved, but the purpose didn't. Shape what people know, and you shape who they become. Today, the propaganda isn't shouted, it's recommended. The algorithm doesn't burn books. It buries them under noise. No empire survives without surveillance. The secret police of the past have been replaced by data centers, microphones, and front cameras. The dictator no longer needs to bug your house. You carry one in your pocket. But here's the twist: we volunteered. We liked, followed, and subscribed our way into the same control we used to fear. Obedience isn't demanded anymore. It's designed. A dictatorship without enemies is a kingdom without walls. The people must always have someone to hate. That's why every regime invents an other, the outsider, the traitor, the threat. Could be an ideology, a race, a gender, a belief, or even a meme. Anything that splits the population in half. The more divided they are, the more unified their obedience becomes. The blueprint never needed to silence everyone. It just needed to make sure no one trusts anyone. The perfect dictatorship doesn't look like one. It has elections, media, social apps, and slogans about choice. But everything is staged. Bread and circuses used to distract the Romans. Now it's notifications and content. We debate endlessly about the puppets, while ignoring the hands that pull the strings. Freedom becomes a brand, a word you buy, not a right you live. That's how the blueprint survives in the modern world. Hidden in plain sight. The kings of today don't rule nations. They rule networks. Corporations have replaced monarchs, and profit replaced ideology. But the methods are the same: centralize power, control communication, and monetize obedience. The media doesn't need to be censored when it's owned. The people don't need to be enslaved when they're entertained. When your data is sold, your mind is governed. The corporate crown is invisible, but it weighs the same as iron. The kings of today don't rule nations. They rule networks. Corporations have replaced monarchs, and profit replaced ideology. But the methods are the same: centralize power, control communication, and monetize obedience. The media doesn't need to be censored when it's owned. The people don't need to be enslaved when they're entertained. When your data is sold, your mind is governed. The corporate crown is invisible, but it weighs the same as iron. The kings of today don't rule nations. They rule networks. Corporations have replaced monarchs, and profit replaced ideology. But the methods are the same: centralize power, control communication, and monetize obedience. The media doesn't need to be censored when it's owned. The people don't need to be enslaved when they're entertained. When your data is sold, your mind is governed. The corporate crown is invisible, but it weighs the same as iron. The kings of today don't rule nations. They rule networks. Corporations have replaced monarchs, and profit replaced ideology. But the methods are the same: centralize power, control communication, and monetize obedience. The media doesn't need to be censored when it's owned. The people don't need to be enslaved when they're entertained. When your data is sold, your mind is governed. The corporate crown is invisible, but it weighs the same as iron. The internet was built as a tool of freedom. It became the most efficient surveillance system in human history. Every click, every thought, every doubt is recorded, categorized, and stored. The algorithm learns you better than you know yourself. And when control becomes predictive, freedom becomes obsolete. The dictator of tomorrow won't wear medals. It will wear a logo, and you'll love it, follow it, and depend on it because it gives you everything you asked for. That's the genius of the modern blueprint. It doesn't force you to obey, convinces you to choose it. History doesn't repeat, it adapts. Every generation believes they're immune to tyranny, and every generation proves themselves wrong. But the pattern only breaks when awareness becomes action. When people stop trading comfort for silence. When fear stops being the currency of control. The blueprint thrives in ignorance, but dies in truth. And the truth is simple. Dictatorship isn't a person. It's a process. One that begins the moment you stop questioning who benefits from your obedience. Power never disappears. It just waits. In the speeches, the screens, the slogans that sound too comforting to question. We've seen this movie before. Empires collapsing under their own control. Nations begging for freedom they willingly gave away. And maybe the blueprint will rise again. Maybe it already has. But as long as one voice still questions, one person still sees through the illusion, the system isn't complete. Because control only works when everyone believes they're free.